The ancient being spoke only once. Never challenge Earth's power. Alex Moore sat in the observation room of the space station orbiting Earth. The stars outside the window looked calm, but inside, the scientists were tense. A strange object had appeared far beyond the outer planets. It was enormous, dark, and moving slowly, almost as if it was floating without any effort. Nobody knew what it was or where it came from. "Have you seen this, Lisa?" Alex asked, turning to his colleague Lisa Brown. She was leaning over the console, eyes wide. "Yes," Lisa said. "It doesn't match any known ship, asteroid, or comet. It's something else, something intelligent, maybe." Alex nodded. "Every probe we've sent toward it stops transmitting after a few hours. Nothing returns." Lisa frowned. "It's like the object doesn't allow anyone to come close. It's watching us, not attacking but testing." Eric Hill, the youngest engineer in the room, scratched his head nervously. "So, it's alive, or a machine, I don't know." "We don't know," Alex admitted. "All we know is that it's big, it's old, and it's focused on Earth. That's unusual. No one else in the solar system seems to notice it the way we do." The news had already reached Earth. People were talking about it on every channel. Some called it a threat. Others called it a miracle. Alex, Lisa, and Eric were focused on science, not rumors. "We should be careful," Lisa said. "If this thing is intelligent, it may be testing humanity." "Testing?" Eric asked. "Like a game, more like a test of strength and wisdom," Alex said. "Not just weapons. It might want to see how humans behave. What we protect, what we destroy, how we choose." Far away, in a quiet city on Earth, Nina Clark watched the live feed from the space station. She was a historian and loved ancient stories. The sight of the mysterious object reminded her of old legends about beings older than the stars. She felt both fear and curiosity. "It's real," Nina whispered. "It's not a story." Her colleague, Daniel Ross, joined her. "We need to study everything. Maybe it has visited other planets before. Maybe it knows about humans, or maybe it's never seen us before." "If it is testing us," Nina said, "then we need to be ready, not just with weapons, but with our minds and choices. It might care more about what we do than what we can destroy." On the space station, Alex looked at the object again. It was not moving fast, but it seemed to be studying every signal from Earth. Alex realized that even small things humans did could be observed. Factories, satellites, space missions, even their daily lives, all of it might be seen and judged. "I don't like being watched," Eric said quietly, "but I guess we have no choice." "Exactly," Alex said. "We need to keep calm, show that we are careful, curious, and wise. Not reckless." As days passed, more details about the object appeared. Strange energy readings surrounded it, and it seemed to bend light around its shape. No probe could approach closer than a certain distance. The farther the humans tried to reach it, the more their instruments failed. "It's like a shield," Lisa said, "but advanced, beyond anything humans have ever built, maybe beyond anything the aliens have built too." Alex felt a mixture of pride and worry. Humanity had survived wars, famine, and disasters, but this was different. This was an intelligence older than anyone could imagine. On Earth, the news created fear. Governments discussed building new weapons, but the scientists, led by people like Nina and Daniel, advised patience. "We cannot attack first," Nina said firmly during a global meeting. "We must learn, observe, and prepare. If this being is ancient and powerful, striking first could destroy us before we understand what it wants." Meanwhile, the object continued its silent observation. It did not send messages. It did not move toward Earth. It simply floated in space, watching. In Alex's mind, he imagined what it could think. Did it see humans as weak, or did it see potential? Lisa often reminded him that intelligence could be very different from humans. "It may value things we do not understand," she said. "Not just war or power, but unity, mercy, patience." Eric worked on a small research project to try to communicate. He sent signals in many frequencies, tried strange patterns and even simple music. Nothing came back, but each attempt gave them more information. Each attempt told them how careful and smart the object was. One night, Alex looked at the object and thought about the future. If the being ever spoke, it might say only a single sentence. Old legends whispered that such beings spoke once and left lasting lessons. Alex felt a chill. "What if we fail the test?" Eric asked softly. "We will not," Alex said, though he did not feel entirely sure. "We are humans, we survive, we learn, we adapt. That is our power." Lisa put her hand on Alex's shoulder. "Sometimes the test is not about what we can destroy, but about what we can protect, who we help, what we preserve." Alex nodded. The objects seemed to be watching their cities, their planets, their choices. Humanity's decisions mattered more than anyone realized. Weeks passed. The world continued with work, studies, and ordinary life. People built new space missions, explored planets, and improved defenses. They also helped each other, shared knowledge, and protected nature. Small acts, unnoticed by most, might be the things the ancient being cared about most. One morning, Nina and Daniel discovered something unusual. Hidden in deep space were signals, very old and faint, that suggested the object had passed by other civilizations before. Each of these civilizations had vanished after being tested. The signals were warnings, records, and lessons. "We have to learn from this," Daniel said. "Not fear. Knowledge is our shield." Nina agreed. "We are being observed, yes, but observation does not mean attack. We have time to show who we are quietly, without pride, without fear." Alex, Lisa, and Eric began their own work in response. They monitored the object constantly, noted every change in its movement, energy, and the strange signals it emitted. They shared data with other nations, not as competitors but as a single species. "That might be what the ancient being wants," Lisa said one evening. "To see us act as one, not divided." Alex looked out at the stars, imagining the massive intelligence floating quietly in space. It had not spoken, it had not attacked, it only observed. Yet Alex felt the weight of its attention. Humanity had been noticed, and that was both frightening and inspiring. In quiet moments, the team imagined what it would be like if the object finally spoke. One sentence, one message, one truth that could change everything. They did not know what it would say, but they felt it would be a warning, a lesson, and maybe a gift. "Whatever it says," Alex whispered to himself, "we must be ready, not just with weapons, but with who we are. Our choices, our compassion, our unity, that is our real power." And so, life continued on Earth and in orbit. Humans studied, learned, and prepared. The ancient being remained silent, yet its presence was felt everywhere. It watched the choices of Alex, Lisa, Eric, Nina, and Daniel. It watched cities, forests, oceans, and satellites. It watched the small acts of kindness and the grand acts of courage. Slowly, humans began to understand that survival was not about fighting. It was about being wise, careful, and united. The object in space had noticed. And in the silence of the cosmos, humanity waited, learning, growing, and preparing for the day the ancient being would speak. For now, the stars were calm. The object floated silently. Humans looked up at the night sky and felt something new, a quiet awe, a humble pride, and the strange certainty that they had been chosen to prove themselves, not by strength alone, but by everything that made them human. Alex turned from the window, ready to report the latest observations. Lisa smiled, Eric nodded, and somewhere, Nina and Daniel watched from Earth. The test had begun. Humanity did not know the rules and the ancient being had not spoken, but they felt the weight of its gaze. And in that moment, the team understood that being observed by something older than time was not just a challenge. It was an opportunity to show that Earth and its people were different, that humans could face the unknown and act with wisdom, that the small planet called Earth was not just surviving, but learning to shine in the vast darkness of space far beyond Earth. In the vast reaches of space, alien councils gathered. The leaders of many species had noticed the strange object near Earth. Some were curious, some fearful, and some angry. They called it the Watcher. Every species remembered stories of ancient beings that judged worlds, but none had ever spoken more than once. "This world is young," said one alien council member, a tall being with silver skin named Kale. "It has not earned the right to exist near such power. We should strike before it grows stronger." Another, shorter with green scales named Orin, shook its head. "We do not know what it wants. Attacking first could destroy us. The Watcher may punish those who act recklessly." The debate grew heated. Fleets of alien ships waited in orbit near Earth, hiding behind asteroids, scanning silently. Every alien species wanted to understand Earth before acting. Some thought it weak. Others feared that humans were stronger than they seemed. Back on Earth, Nina Clark and Daniel Ross continued their research. They had discovered faint signals hidden deep in space, left behind by the Watcher itself. These signals were very old, from civilizations that no longer existed. Each civilization had disappeared after being tested, either destroyed by their own mistakes or abandoned by the Watcher. "These are lessons," Nina said, looking at the strange patterns on her screen. "The Watcher is not just observing, it has judged others before." "It wants to see how we will act," Daniel frowned. "And if we fail, we could face the same fate. Every signal here is a warning. Every story ends the same way. Those who were reckless did not survive." "Then we must act carefully," Nina said. "Not with fear, not with pride. We must show that humans are different." On the space station, Alex Moore, Lisa Brown, and Eric Hill analyzed the same data. They realized that the object near Earth was intelligent, ancient, and patient. It was not attacking. It did not move closer. It simply watched, waiting for humans to show themselves in the best light. "Maybe it wants to see if we can survive without destroying ourselves," Alex said. "If it tests others by their mistakes, maybe it tests us by our choices." Lisa nodded. "We have weapons, yes. But the real test is restraint. Intelligence without wisdom is dangerous. The Watcher sees that." Eric worked on sending gentle signals toward the object. He tried music, mathematical patterns, and even simple drawings. Nothing came back. But the object seemed to respond subtly, slight shifts in energy, minor changes in light around it. Humans could not see it, but their instruments did. "It's like it is listening," Eric said. "Not with words, but with understanding." While humans prepared quietly, alien species argued openly. Kale wanted to strike. "If we wait, it may grow stronger. Earth may become a threat to the galaxy. We should destroy it now." Orin replied calmly, "We are being watched. The Watcher does not forgive foolishness. Any attack could bring punishment upon us. Patience is the true test." The fleets hesitated. Alien generals measured their weapons, scanned the planet, and debated strategy. They did not know that humans were already acting wisely. Earth's nations were learning, improving, and preparing not just defenses, but unity. They shared knowledge, helped each other, and avoided reckless experiments. Small acts of kindness and caution became their shield. Nina and Daniel studied the ancient signals further. They found patterns that suggested the Watcher valued protection, cooperation, and growth, not just power. Civilizations that destroyed themselves or others failed the test. Civilizations that survived acted with wisdom, mercy, and restraint. "Look at this," Nina said, pointing to a sequence of signals. "These civilizations were destroyed because they attacked first. They were proud, aggressive, and divided. Those are the things the Watcher notices." "Then we must show the opposite," Daniel said. "Unity, patience, protection. Everything humans are capable of, not just war." Alex, Lisa, and Eric worked day and night. They tested new technologies that could defend Earth without threatening others. They improved space communications, energy shields, and observation tools. Every device was built not to attack, but to survive and learn. Eric smiled one night. We are learning from the Watcher without it saying a word. Every move we make is part of the test, Lisa added, and every small choice counts. Helping another nation, saving a forest, protecting wildlife, these may all be part of the score. Aliens continued to watch. Kale grew impatient. They are weak. We should not wait any longer. Oren shook his head. We see their small acts. They are cautious. They help each other. They rebuild instead of destroying. They may pass the test. Do you want to be destroyed for attacking first? Kale paused. Silence filled the council chamber. Other species whispered. Even the most aggressive generals felt unease. The Watcher's judgment was unknown but absolute. On Earth, the public was unaware of the full scale of the observation. They noticed only minor news about strange lights in space, energy anomalies, and unusual scientific discoveries. The majority of people continued daily life. Farmers, teachers, engineers, and doctors acted as always. Yet in every small action they proved something. Care for the environment, sharing knowledge, helping the weak. Humans did not realize they were showing the Watcher who they really were. Alex noticed something new in the energy readings from the object. Tiny pulses, subtle and precise. It seemed to be acknowledging human behavior. Nothing verbal, nothing aggressive, but a presence, a recognition. It's watching more closely, Lisa said. Maybe it is pleased. Or curious, Alex added. It wants to see if we understand it. Eric laughed softly. We are learning without even knowing it. It's teaching us through observation. Nina and Daniel found more evidence in the signals. Old civilizations that had survived the test left records of humility and cooperation. None survived through aggression or selfishness. These lessons were simple but powerful. Humanity could follow the same path, they realized. We need to be patient, Nina said. We need to act as one, not divided by fear or pride. Our strength is in how we live, not just in what we can destroy. In space, alien fleets grew uneasy. The Watcher remained silent, yet its gaze was clear. It observed every species, but it seemed to linger longer near Earth. Something about humans drew attention. Aliens wondered if humans were stronger than they appeared, not in weapons but in character. Kale finally spoke, voice tense. Perhaps we have underestimated them. Perhaps they are different. Oren nodded. Yes. That is what the Watcher sees. Do we dare challenge them and risk the Watcher's judgment? The fleets hesitated. No one wanted to be the first to provoke an ancient being whose words and power were legendary. The air of fear mixed with awe spread through every council. Back on Earth, Alex, Lisa, Eric, Nina, and Daniel continued their quiet work. They shared their findings with scientists worldwide. Nations began cooperating more openly. Data, technology, and knowledge were shared to prepare for the unknown. Humans acted not from fear, but from wisdom, restraint, and unity. One evening, Nina spoke to Daniel. We are not just observing the Watcher. We are learning how to be stronger, not with weapons, but with our choices. And it is noticing, Daniel said. Every small act counts. Every decision shows who we are. Alex looked at the stars, imagining the ancient being floating silently, older than time itself. It had not spoken, yet it communicated more through its observation than words could express. Humans were being tested not by strength, but by wisdom, patience, and care. Lisa added, "This is more than a test. It is a lesson. We have the chance to show that humans are different, that we can survive and grow without destroying ourselves or others." Eric worked late into the night, sending gentle signals of music and mathematics. The Watcher seemed to respond with slight energy pulses. Humans did not understand the language, but the patterns suggested attention and acknowledgement. The alien councils grew increasingly unsure. Kale's fleet shifted uneasily in orbit. Other species whispered warnings to each other. Attacking Earth could bring disaster. Patience was the only safe choice. On Earth, humanity continued quietly, unknowingly proving its worth. Scientists, engineers, teachers, and ordinary people acted with care, curiosity, and cooperation. Every choice, small or large, contributed to the growing impression the Watcher had of humanity. Nina smiled at Daniel. We may never hear it speak. It may never give us instructions, but our actions are enough. The Watcher sees everything. Daniel nodded. And if we continue as we are, maybe the galaxy will learn that Earth is not just another planet. It is something special. Alex turned from his console to the observation window. The stars looked calm, but he felt a quiet excitement. Humanity was part of something greater. Something ancient and powerful was watching them, and they were showing the best of who they were. The Watcher floated silently, observing energy, behavior, and choices. Alien fleets waited nervously, unsure what would happen. Humans worked, learned, and grew quietly, unknowingly passing a test older than the stars. And so, the second phase of the test began. The Watcher remained silent, but its gaze was clear. Humans learned that patience, unity, and wisdom were their true strength. Aliens realized that attacking could be fatal, and the galaxy began to sense that Earth was not weak, not fragile, and not to be underestimated. The stars shone above, calm and infinite. The Watcher's presence remained mysterious and powerful. Humans continued their quiet journey, unaware of the full scope of observation, yet proving themselves with every act. And somewhere in the depths of space, the ancient being's attention lingered, waiting, watching and learning along with the humans themselves. The ancient object remained in orbit beyond Earth, silent yet watching. Alex Moore, Lisa Brown, and Eric Hill had grown used to its presence, but each day brought new challenges. It was no longer enough to study the object from afar. Humans began to realize that the Watcher was not only observing the present but also looking into the past. Nina Clark and Daniel Ross discovered that faint signals from the Watcher contained fragments of human history. They were not complete, but they revealed key moments, moments when humans had chosen to help others, to rebuild, and to protect life instead of destroying it. These fragments were strange, almost like the Watcher was reading memories directly from the planet itself. It's learning about us, Nina said quietly. Not from our technology, not from our weapons, but from our choices. Daniel leaned back in his chair. It sees everything. Wars, disasters, kindnesses, mistakes, everything that has shaped humanity. It is judging not just who we are, but what we have become. Alex, watching the strange energy readings from the object, felt a chill. He had always thought the Watcher was observing only current actions. But now he realized it was seeing deeper. It could sense the decisions humans had made for generations. So it knows our history, Lisa said. Our triumphs, our failures, everything. And it doesn't judge us by what we can destroy, Eric added. It judges by what we protect, by how we grow. That is our real power. As humans studied the signals, they saw patterns of other civilizations that had existed long before Earth. These civilizations had been advanced in technology, but they had failed tests similar to the one humanity was facing. Some had destroyed themselves with pride or greed. Others had attacked without restraint. The Watcher had observed and then acted, though humans could not see exactly what had happened to those worlds. It is giving us a chance they never had, Nina said. We can see their mistakes. We can learn without being destroyed immediately. Daniel nodded. And if we succeed, we will not only survive, we will show the galaxy something new. That restraint, cooperation, and wisdom are stronger than raw power. On the space station, Alex, Lisa, and Eric worked tirelessly. They did not focus on weapons that could harm the Watcher or alien fleets. Instead, they studied defenses, energy shields, and ways to preserve life. They developed technologies to protect Earth and its people without threatening others. Every improvement, every test was careful and deliberate. The Watcher is teaching us without words, Alex said. We are learning how to be responsible with power, how to act without arrogance, and it is watching how we handle that knowledge. Outside the atmosphere, alien fleets grew restless. Kale and his council had been monitoring Earth, waiting for humans to make a mistake. Yet each time they watched, they saw something unexpected. Humans did not strike first. They did not attack each other recklessly. Instead, humans studied, learned, and improved quietly. They are different, Kale said to the council. I expected weakness, but they are careful, united, and wise in ways we do not fully understand. Orin replied calmly, yes, the Watcher sees their choices. Attacking now could bring disaster. Patience is the only safe path. On Earth, ordinary humans were unknowingly proving their worth. Teachers helped students from different nations. Engineers shared new energy solutions. Farmers worked together to protect ecosystems. Doctors shared medical knowledge freely. Humanity's strength was not in their weapons, but in their unity, care, and willingness to improve. Alex noticed that even small human actions seemed to influence the Watcher. Slight changes in energy readings corresponded to acts of cooperation, rebuilding, or protection. The object was not communicating with words, but it was responding to what humans did. Every choice matters, Lisa said. Even small ones. The Watcher sees it all. Eric smiled. It's almost like it wants to see the best of us. Not our power, but our wisdom, our compassion. Nina and Daniel discovered something even more remarkable. Hidden in the signals were patterns that suggested the Watcher could sense the intentions behind actions. It did not just see what humans did, it sensed why they did it. Acts done for selfish gain were noted differently from acts done for the good of others. So it is judging our hearts, not just our minds, Nina said. Our true nature, Daniel nodded. That is why restraint matters. We cannot show pride or arrogance. We must act with care, compassion, and wisdom. That is our advantage. Alex realized that the Watcher's test was not about technology or war. It was about humanity itself. It measured resilience, morality, and the ability to grow without destroying. Humans had survived disasters and conflicts not only because of strength, but because of their willingness to learn and to protect life. We are stronger than we thought, Alex said to Lisa and Eric. Not because of our weapons, but because of our choices, our unity, and our care for others. As the Watcher continued its silent observation, humans began to notice small changes in the object's energy patterns. Subtle pulses, like a heartbeat, suggested attention, curiosity, and perhaps approval. No words were spoken, but humans could feel that their actions mattered. Alien fleets became increasingly anxious. Kale feared the Watcher's judgment. Orion reminded him that patience and observation were safer than aggression. The fleets had the power to destroy Earth quickly, but they hesitated. The ancient being had shown that the consequences of reckless action could be greater than any weapon. On Earth, Nina and Daniel shared their findings with world leaders. They emphasized cooperation, unity, and careful planning. Nations began to work together in ways never seen before. Shared space research, environmental protection, and medical collaborations flourished. Humans were proving that their strength was not in weapons alone, but in wisdom, care, and cooperation. Alex, Lisa, and Eric continued their work on the space station. They tested new energy shields, communication arrays, and observation tools. Everything was designed to protect life, not destroy. They knew the Watcher observed every detail, every decision, every act of wisdom or care. Our real power is restraint, Lisa said one evening. The Watcher will see that. It is not impressed by weapons, but by who we are. Eric added, we are showing it that humans can survive, grow, and thrive without destruction. That is what sets us apart from other civilizations it has seen. Nina and Daniel also worked to understand the signals from the Watcher. They realized that the ancient being valued civilizations that learned from their mistakes, cooperated, and acted with morality. Those that failed were reckless, arrogant, and divided. Humanity was demonstrating that they could do things differently. We are part of something bigger than ourselves, Nina said. The Watcher has noticed us and every choice we make matters, Daniel nodded. And we must continue to act wisely. Every moment, every decision is a chance to show our true nature. The Watchers of alien councils watched in silence. Fleets shifted, anxious and unsure. Kale realized that attacking Earth would be a fatal mistake. The ancient being was patient, observing and judging. Humans were not just surviving, they were proving themselves capable of restraint, wisdom, and unity. Back on Earth, ordinary humans continued their lives, unaware of the full scope of the test. Farmers saved rare plants, teachers educated without prejudice. Doctors shared life-saving knowledge. Engineers built tools for protection, not war. Every small action, unnoticed by most, was contributing to the proof that humans were different. Alex, observing the Watcher, felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity was not perfect, but it was learning, growing, and acting with wisdom. The ancient being's silent attention was a challenge, a lesson, and a recognition all at once. "We do not need to fight to show strength," Alex said to Lisa and Eric. "We are proving it in every choice, every act, every decision." Lisa smiled. "And the Watcher sees it. Even without words, it understands who we are." Eric nodded. "We are passing the test without even realizing it. Our real power is in what we protect, not what we destroy." Nina and Daniel continued their research on Earth. They shared the lessons with leaders, scientists, and educators worldwide. Humans learned that cooperation, care, and moral action were stronger than any weapon. They were proving to the Watcher and to themselves that Earth was unique. The ancient object remained silent in space, yet its gaze was clear. It had seen humanity's history, present, and choices. It had observed not only humans but also the alien fleets around them. Its judgment was not based on fear or aggression, but on wisdom, restraint, and care. Humans had learned a powerful truth. Strength was not just in technology or weapons, but in unity, compassion, and wise action. The Watcher's test was ongoing, but humans were rising to it. As the stars shone above, Alex, Lisa, Eric, Nina, and Daniel continued their work. Every choice, every small act of care or wisdom added to the proof that humans were worthy. The Watcher's observation was not a threat, but a challenge, a chance to show the galaxy what humanity could truly become. And in the silent vastness of space, the ancient being watched, learning as humans learned, observing as humans acted, and waiting for the moment when it would finally speak, revealing the meaning of its long test. The ancient object hovered silently beyond Earth, its presence felt but not fully understood. Alex Moore, Lisa Brown, and Eric Hill monitored the energy readings closely. Over weeks, the pulses from the Watcher had grown steadier, more deliberate. Humans could not see it moving, yet it seemed to focus more attention on certain activities. The ancient being was no longer just observing, it was judging with purpose. Nina Clark and Daniel Ross studied the latest signals from the Watcher. They had discovered a strange pattern, different from anything before. It was a low-frequency pulse that repeated in a rhythm almost like breathing. Nina realized that this was more than observation. It was communication. Not words, not images, but intention made visible through energy. "It is signaling something," Nina said. "We may not understand it yet, but it is trying to reach us." Daniel nodded. "This is what we have been waiting for. Perhaps it will speak soon. After all this time, it may give us a message that changes everything." Alex, watching the object from orbit, felt a deep sense of anticipation. The Watchers of other species in distant space waited too, hiding their fleets, unsure what would happen next. Kale and Oren debated quietly in their council. Attacking was no longer an option. The ancient being's gaze made them fear the consequences. "We cannot strike," Kale admitted reluctantly. "Not now. It will judge us as it judges Earth." Oren nodded. "And it sees the choices humans make. They act with wisdom and restraint. Attacking could bring disaster to our own people. On Earth, Ordinary life continued, but humans were more aware of the presence beyond their planet. People like teachers, engineers, farmers, and doctors felt a quiet determination to do their best. Their acts of care, cooperation, and protection mattered more than anyone could measure. Alex noticed subtle changes in the Watcher's energy field. Small fluctuations seemed to respond to human actions. When scientists shared technology or knowledge freely, the pulses became steady and calm. When humans helped each other or protected life, the energy patterns changed slightly, like a nod of approval. "It is responding to us," Lisa said. "Not with words, but with understanding." Eric worked on sending gentle signals back, simple mathematical patterns and music. The pulses from the Watcher seemed to match their rhythms at times, almost like a silent conversation. Humans were learning that communication did not always require words. Intention, care, and wisdom were enough. Then, one day, the Watcher did something new. It projected a wave of energy that enveloped the planet for a brief moment. People all over the world felt a calm warmth. It was not harmful, not frightening, but unmistakable. It was as if the Watcher had reached out to show its presence, its attention, its recognition of humanity. Nina and Daniel realized that this was the moment they had been waiting for. The Watcher was preparing to speak, but it would not speak like humans. It would speak with a single message, one that could not be repeated lightly, one that would carry the weight of its ancient wisdom. "This is it," Nina whispered. "The message is coming. We must be ready to understand it." Alex, Lisa, and Eric watched as the energy field intensified. Tiny pulses moved across the planet, aligning with human actions and intentions. It was as if the Watcher had chosen not to test weapons or armies, but the hearts and minds of humans. On Earth, humans felt an unusual calm. No one knew why, but a sense of awe spread across nations. People paused in their daily lives, sensing something greater than themselves. Children looked at the sky in wonder. Scientists, engineers, and leaders felt the weight of a silent lesson. The alien fleets watched in fear and uncertainty. Kale and Orin could not interpret what was happening, only that the Watcher's presence was overwhelming. Attacking would now be unthinkable. Any action could trigger consequences beyond imagination. Then, at last, the ancient being spoke, not with words, not with sound, but directly into the minds of every human. A single sentence, calm, clear, and heavy with meaning. It was not a command, nor a threat. It was a truth, a warning, and a lesson all at once. Never challenge Earth's power. The message spread instantly, understood by all. Humans felt the depth of it. It was not about weapons or armies. It was about restraint, unity, wisdom, and the courage to protect rather than destroy. The Watcher's judgment was clear. Those who threatened Earth would face consequences far beyond comprehension, but those who acted wisely would thrive. Alex, Lisa, and Eric exchanged stunned glances. They understood what it meant. The Watcher had seen humanity's choices, its restraint, its compassion. It had measured them not by what they could destroy, but by what they could protect. Nina and Daniel watched as the same message reached every mind. The pulse from the Watcher continued for a moment, steady and calm, then slowly faded. The energy field around the planet returned to normal, but the impression remained. Humans knew they had been recognized, acknowledged, and judged worthy. Alien fleets hesitated, unsure of what they had witnessed. Kale spoke softly. "We underestimated them. Earth is not weak. It is different. Attacking would be foolish." Orin nodded. "The Watcher has judged, and its judgment is clear. Patience and respect are the only safe path." On Earth, humans absorbed the meaning of the Watcher's single sentence. It was a reminder of their potential, a warning to others, and a lesson for the galaxy. People like teachers, engineers, farmers, and leaders understood that their choices mattered not only to themselves, but to all life on Earth and beyond. Alex felt a sense of pride and awe. Humanity had passed a test older than the stars. They had done so not with weapons, but with wisdom, restraint, and care for life. The Watcher had seen the best of humanity and recognized it. Lisa added, "This is more than survival. This is proof that humans can rise above fear, pride, and aggression. We are stronger because we know when not to strike." Eric smiled. And the Watcher noticed everything. Every choice, every act of kindness, every moment of wisdom. That is our real power. Nina and Daniel realized that the message would guide humanity for generations. It was simple but profound. Earth's power was not measured by technology or weapons, but by its people, their unity, and their moral strength. Alien fleets slowly withdrew, humbled by what they had witnessed. Kale and Orin watched Earth with new respect. The lesson from the Watcher was clear. No civilization should underestimate humanity, and no attack should be attempted without understanding the consequences. On Earth, humans continued their lives, but they were changed. There was a quiet confidence, a calm awareness that they were part of something greater. Every decision, every choice, every act of protection and cooperation mattered more than ever. Alex, Lisa, and Eric returned to their research with renewed purpose. They understood that their work was not only to advance technology, but to preserve life, foster unity, and maintain wisdom in every action. The Watcher had judged them worthy, and they could not fail now. Nina and Daniel shared the lessons from the Watcher with leaders and educators. Humanity began to act more consciously, understanding that every small act of care, every decision to protect, every choice to cooperate was part of a greater responsibility. The single sentence spoken by the ancient being remained in every mind: never challenge Earth's power. It was not a threat but a recognition. Earth's power was not in destruction but in protection. It was in wisdom, restraint, and unity. And so life continued on Earth and in space. Humans acted with care, scientists explored knowledge, leaders sought unity, and ordinary people helped each other in small ways. The alien fleets observed from afar, humbled and cautious. They understood that Earth was no ordinary planet. The Watcher's energy slowly faded from orbit, its presence no longer pressing but its judgment eternal. Humans had learned a powerful lesson without words, through their own choices, actions, and restraint. They had proven that they were capable of wisdom beyond what any species had demonstrated before. Alex looked at the stars, feeling a deep calm. Humanity had passed the test. The Watcher had spoken once, and that single sentence carried more weight than any weapon or message could. It was a warning, a recognition, and a guide for the future. Lisa added softly, "We are ready for the future now. We know what matters." Eric nodded, "And the galaxy knows as well. Earth is strong, not because of power, but because of who we are." Nina and Daniel smiled, knowing that the legacy of the Watcher's message would guide humanity for generations. They had seen the moment when a single sentence changed the course of history without a word of threat or fear. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. The stars shone above, calm and eternal. The Watcher had left, its lesson delivered, its judgment complete. Earth's power was recognized. The galaxy understood that humans were not to be underestimated, and on Earth life went on. But humanity was different now. Wiser, more united, more aware. The lesson of the ancient being would remain in every mind. Strength is not in weapons, but in restraint. Power is not in domination, but in protection. Earth's true power was its people, and the galaxy had learned to respect it. The ancient being had spoken once. Its message, "Never challenge Earth's power," echoed quietly in the minds of every human. Alex Moore, Lisa Brown, and Eric Hill watched the stars from the orbiting station. The Watcher had vanished, but its presence remained in the hearts and minds of humanity. The calm it had left was heavy with meaning, a reminder of responsibility, unity, and wisdom. Nina Clark and Daniel Ross worked on Earth, sharing the lessons of the Watcher with leaders, educators, and scientists. The message had changed everything. Governments that had once competed fiercely began to cooperate. Scientists exchanged discoveries freely. Engineers shared energy and life-saving technology. The simple acts of people everywhere now carried greater weight, for humanity understood that every choice mattered. Alex felt a strange pride. Humans had passed a test older than the stars, not by fighting, not by weapons, but by wisdom and care. The galaxy had noticed. Alien fleets once poised for attack now retreated, cautious and respectful. They had seen the judgment of the ancient being and understood that Earth was not a weak planet, but a cornerstone of life in the galaxy. "We did it," Lisa said quietly, looking out at the black sky dotted with stars. "We survived without striking first." "We showed restraint, unity, and wisdom," Eric nodded. "And that is our real strength. The Watcher saw it all, the galaxy saw it. Earth is different now." On Earth, humans went about their daily lives, but everything had changed. Cities were cleaner, people helped one another more. Education improved. Nations cooperated on environmental projects, space exploration, and technology sharing. Small acts of kindness now carried the weight of proof that humanity could be trusted with great power. Nina and Daniel traveled to meet leaders across continents, sharing what the Watcher had taught. They emphasized that Earth's power was not measured in weapons or armies, but in the wisdom and care of its people. The ancient being had seen humanity's choices, and now humans must live up to that recognition every day. "We are not alone in the galaxy anymore," Daniel said during a speech to world leaders. "But we are ready. The Watcher has seen us. The galaxy has learned to respect us. And we must continue to show that we are worthy." Alien species observed from afar, whispering about Earth. Kale and Oren spoke cautiously in their council chambers. "We underestimated them," Kale admitted. "They are not just survivors. They are wise, restrained, and capable of cooperation beyond what we expected." Oren nodded. "We have learned that attacking Earth would have been a mistake. We must respect them. The ancient being has judged them worthy, and we must follow that guidance." Humans began to explore space more boldly but with care. Fleets of ships traveled to distant planets, not to conquer but to assist, observe, and learn. They built settlements, repaired damage, and shared knowledge. Every mission, every expedition, carried the wisdom of the Watcher's lesson. Alex led a team on a new project to study distant star systems, sharing data freely with all nations. Lisa focused on developing energy shields that could protect planets without harming anyone. Eric worked on communication systems that linked humans and friendly alien species. Their work was no longer just science, it was a promise to live wisely and responsibly. On Earth, children grew up hearing the story of the Watcher. They learned that real strength was restraint, unity, and wisdom. They learned that the galaxy had noticed humanity, and that their choices carried great weight. Ordinary people felt a new sense of purpose, understanding that every act of care, every moment of cooperation, mattered. Nina and Daniel continued to study the ancient signals left behind by the Watcher. They found patterns that suggested the being had visited many civilizations before. Each had failed or succeeded based on restraint and wisdom, not weapons or technology. Humanity had passed the test because of its choices, and now it carried the responsibility to continue living in that way. "Our legacy is just beginning," Nina said to Daniel. "The Watcher has gone, but its lesson remains. We must guide the galaxy through care, knowledge, and unity." Daniel smiled. "And we can. We know what matters now. Strength is not in what we destroy, but in what we protect." In orbit, Alex looked at Earth below. The continents were alive with light and movement. Cities, forests, oceans, all part of the proof that humanity could act with care. He felt the weight of the Watcher's recognition and the quiet responsibility it brought. Humanity was no longer just a planet in the galaxy. It was a symbol, a guardian, and a living lesson of restraint and wisdom. Aliens continued to watch from a distance, cautious but curious. Some sent emissaries to learn from humans. Others studied Earth quietly, realizing that aggression was not the way to interact with this unique civilization. The galaxy began to understand that Earth's power was not in destruction, but in cooperation, wisdom, and moral courage. Humans built new alliances with friendly alien species. Trade, knowledge, and culture flourished. Earth became a hub for learning and exploration, not war. The galaxy began to shift, guided by the quiet strength of a species that had learned to survive without striking first. Alex, Lisa, Eric, Nina, and Daniel continued their work, now with a greater purpose. Every decision they made, every project they led, carried the memory of the Watcher's message. They shared knowledge, protected life, and encouraged cooperation across nations and species. Humanity had learned that being strong meant acting wisely, and they had risen to the challenge. One day, a faint energy signature appeared in orbit, far from the old location of the Watcher. It was small, subtle, but unmistakable. Alex studied it carefully. "Could it be another signal?" he asked. Lisa nodded. "Perhaps it is a reminder. The Watcher is gone, but its influence remains. It is still teaching quietly." Eric added, "We have learned the lesson well. We act wisely, protect life, and work together. We are ready for whatever comes next." On Earth, humans continued to grow, explore, and learn. Every small act mattered. Every decision carried weight. The galaxy watched, and humans knew they must continue to prove that Earth's power was not in destruction, but in wisdom, unity, and care. Nina spoke to a group of students. "Remember the lesson of the Watcher. Strength is in restraint. Power is in protection. Your choices matter, not just for you, but for the planet and the galaxy. Never forget what we have learned." Daniel added, "And always remember that humanity has been recognized for its wisdom. That recognition is a responsibility. Act with care, and the galaxy will trust you." Alex, watching from orbit, reflected on everything humanity had achieved. The Watcher had tested them, judged them, and spoken once. That single sentence had changed the course of history. It had taught humans that true strength was not in what they could destroy, but in what they could protect. Lisa smiled. "We are ready. We have learned the meaning of real power." Eric nodded. "And now we can help others learn the same. Earth will be a guide, not a conqueror." Nina and Daniel watched as humanity began to explore distant worlds with care. They helped civilizations in need, shared knowledge freely, and acted with wisdom. Humans had learned that the galaxy respected them, not because of weapons, but because of their choices and actions. Alien fleets observed with caution and respect. Kale and Oren spoke quietly, acknowledging Earth's unique role. "They have passed the test," Kale said. "We cannot challenge them, nor should we. They are something different." Oren agreed. "And the galaxy will follow their example if they continue to act wisely. Earth is a model now, not a threat." Humans continued to build, explore, and learn. Every city, farm, school, and laboratory became a symbol of care and responsibility. Every mission into space was guided by wisdom, restraint, and protection. The Watcher's single message had become a guiding principle for the planet and the galaxy. Alex, Lisa, Eric, Nina, and Daniel knew that their work would never truly end. The responsibility to act wisely, to protect life, and to guide the galaxy had been entrusted to humanity. But they also knew that humans were ready. The test had been passed, and the legacy of Earth had begun. And so, Earth thrived. Humans grew in knowledge, wisdom, and unity. The galaxy watched, learned, and respected this small blue planet. The ancient being had spoken once, but its lesson would last forever. Humanity understood the meaning of real power: restraint, care, unity, and wisdom. The stars shone above, calm and eternal. Earth had been tested, judged, and recognized. The galaxy remembered the message of the Watcher, and humans carried it forward in every act, every choice, and every moment of life. The legacy of Earth was secure, not because of what it could destroy, but because of what it could protect. Alex looked down at the planet below, feeling hope and pride. Lisa, Eric, Nina, and Daniel joined him, all silently agreeing that humanity had risen to its greatest challenge without firing a shot. The Watcher's words had been clear and simple, but their meaning was eternal. Earth's true power was alive in every human heart, and the galaxy would never forget it. And so, life continued. Humans explored the stars, helped others, shared knowledge, and lived wisely. The single message of the ancient being remained in every mind, guiding humanity forever. Never challenge Earth's power. And in that guidance, Earth found its place as a guardian, a leader, and a symbol of restraint, unity, and wisdom in the vast galaxy.